Hello juniors! I'm here for a special edition video. This is a spoiler alert in which I'm going to give you a solution to the Yoda challenge, which is your assignment for this week. Now you might look at this as cheating, but it's definitely not cheating. What I want you to be able to do is feel like we're supporting you enough in completing the challenge. And when we teach this usually at ITA, we're in a live class in which we can give little hints along the way. So what I want you to do with this video is to use it as a tool. So if you get stuck, you could start watching the video, and I'm just going to go through the different bullet points of the scratch plan for the Yoda challenge and show you the way that I would complete this challenge. Now, full disclosure, it's going to be a challenge for me too, because I haven't done the Yoda challenge in a while, but I am the one who came up with the Yoda challenge initially, so I'm sure I'm going to make it through. Bear with me. All right, here we go. The spoiling will start. So the first thing is you got to get to the Google Drive folder. Remember, you have to log in with your NetID or Whisk account. Your own personal Gmail account won't work, and we won't give you access. We got to make sure that this stays just within the Whisk environment. So you've got your two main things. You've got your cupcake that needs to be eaten by Yoda, and you've got Yoda, your sprite. You've got this great little presentation. I'll do my impersonation again. Challenge you we will. Impress us you must. So basically, you do the black background to start. So that's just the game board will have a black background, and it will eventually switch to red, but we won't go there yet. So you start by creating a new project, which is just, we will have the cat sprite. We create the background. There's a couple ways to do it actually. We could either do the stage, or we can just create a sprite that's the size of the background. I'll just do the stage or backdrop. So I'll go to backdrop and grab the paint tool, grab the black color and click. For red, we can just create a new backdrop. I think it's this one. They also have a backdrop library, so that's kind of cool. But I grab red and that. So I'm just getting ready to do what I need to do with this scratch project. But now I need to get into the next step, which is make Yoda move up, down, left, right. Well, this means I need Yoda. So I just download the Yoda sprite. And I always do show in folder, because then I have a folder going right up there. Let's see, where is... So I do a new sprite, and I bring Yoda into here. So import, and I find that folder. So downloads, there's Yoda. And when I bring Yoda in, so I've got the sprite. He's not really great for a video game right now because he's got this big white box and he's huge. So I go back to costumes and I just want to get rid of that white box. There's a couple ways to do that. The fastest way for me is to just use the eraser tool. It's a little rough, but it works. So I just go in and kind of get in there. Again, like I said, it's rough. I expect you to take some care with your Yoda character. But I will remind you, he's going to be pretty small in the end. So if you just get rid of all the white background, it won't be too glitchy looking. And you can adjust the size of the eraser to get into the smaller nooks and crannies. Keep that fancy hair he's got. Oh, sorry about that ear, Yoda. But for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to bring it back. You can always hit undo. So if I delete a little bit right here, I can hit undo and it will bring it back. Or redo if I like the change. I'll show you the smaller eraser tool in just 1 second. So yeah, you just can change it so that it's smaller to get into these small areas here. Oh, took away one of his toes. Again, for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna just be okay with that. But we want to see Yoda looking pretty nice for yours. So, okay, there's Yoda. Now I see I've got some random things hanging out. Like right here, there's a little one. So I just kind of try to clean up, because that's a little unacceptable. And that cane tip. Let's clean that up a little bit. Okay, so Yoda's ready to go. He's got his little cute hairdo here. I'm just gonna get rid of that. It'll look nicer. And we still have the problem of Yoda's too big, and we have this cat. So I'm just gonna take the cat away. Let's see. Delete. I'm gonna name the Yoda sprite. I'm right-clicking to do this. Hold on. Info. Sorry, that's just a normal click. Yoda. And now I want to make him smaller. So there's these buttons up here, grow and shrink. And what this does is it gives you this new icon where you can click on the sprite. And I just click and click and click until he's a nice size for a game. So let's look back at my instructions here. So make black background, make Yoda move up, down, left, right. So I'm still working on making him move up, down, left, right. So I go to scripts, events, when the flag is clicked. So I do this a little bit differently than Kim does. I do a forever loop, and I do sensing. When touching, I need to do an if statement first. If a certain key is pressed, so let's do up first. Then, so when I'm pressing the up key, then I want him to move X positively. I'm going to do 10, so I'm going to go to motion, change X by 10. No, I'm sorry, that's Y. Up and down is Y. X is left and right. So up is positive Y, down is negative Y, left is negative X, right is positive X. And then what I can do is I can pull this out and I can duplicate it. I need 4 total. And I can just stack them in like little puzzle pieces. Oh, but make sure they're not inside of each other. So they should be in a line. If they get inside of each other, it's an if statement within an if statement. So it'd be like if up arrow is pressed and down arrow is pressed, then do this thing. I don't want that. So I'm going to do up, down, left, right. So up is Y by 10, down is Y by negative 10. This I had to change to X, and this one also X. So change X by 10, change X by 10. So left is negative 10 because it's kind of like backwards. And now I click the green arrow and I can move Yoda around, and he's pretty fast. If I want to go slower, let's say I want him to go up slower because maybe gravity, I do 5 instead of 10. So he can move left and right and down pretty fast, but then up he's a little slower. So he can move down faster than he can move up, for example. But I'm just going to keep it as there's no gravity. I'm just like an overview kind of look. Okay. That is the first step. Well, first 2 steps. Make a black background, make Yoda move up, down, left, right. The steps are kind of all about that complicated, but it's all about getting the hang of it. So let's keep moving on. Let's do a cupcake. So we do need the actual cupcake, which is the Cookie Monster. Gonna download and import that into Scratch. So I'll do a new sprite and import, grab the cupcake, and I have to do the same thing where I remove the background. Let's see. There's other ways to do this. You could do remove background button. It's just, it doesn't work super well Yeah. I'm not liking the way that one's working. So I always just use the eraser tool. The problem is like with like the shadow of the Cookie Monster right here and stuff, those background tools don't work all that great. Probably would have worked really well with Yoda, for example. And then if you want to take your time and be careful and do a great job, you can also import these images to Photoshop first and remove the background using the nice Photoshop tools, and then re-import it into Scratch once it's all nice and cleaned up with a transparency background, which you all, I think, know how to do. If you don't, you can reach out and ask. But again, this tends to do the trick. One reason that this challenge is really cool, I think, is because it shows you how to import images to your game. The way your game looks, all the little pieces, all the visual assets will make a big difference to the experience of the player. So what do we call this? A cupcake? Okay. And again, this is too big, so we're just going to use the shrink tool and bring this down. So now when we hit the plus sign, the green flag, we have Yoda going around, but there's no coded interaction with the cupcake as of yet. So let's look at what we need to do for this. Let's see. Yoda challenge. Add one cupcake to the screen. Done. Make Yoda collect the cupcake. So basically the cupcake disappears when Yoda touches the cupcake. So boom, it should disappear. So what I do is I go to this cupcake sprite, and the cupcake sprite is going to be listening for an interaction with Yoda. So now I have Yoda moving, and when he gets to the cupcake, nothing happens. That's because there's no script on the cupcake for when Yoda touches the cupcake. So I'm going to try to save, and hopefully it doesn't crash. So let's look at the script for the cupcake. So events, again, when the green flag is clicked, is important so that it's always listening. Usually a forever loop is important so that it's always listening for the event that could happen at any time. And then I think it's under sensing. Oh, sorry, we still need an if statement. So if it's touching Yoda, so your sprites will show up there. Notice there's other things like your mouse pointer or the edge of the screen. Then we think go to operators. I gotta think about this for a second. Yes, we're gonna change X and change Y. But we're going to do that by, we want it to go randomly around the screen. Oh, we're not that step yet. Hold on. I'm going to hold off. All we want to do is have it hide. So we're going to go to looks and hide. So if it's ever touching Yoda, it's going to hide. It'll then wait. I'm going to say for 0.1 seconds, and then show. So go back to looks and show. So what'll happen is it'll disappear and reappear. So it's kind of fast, but let me do it for like 2 seconds. Right now it still stays in the same spot. So it hides for 2 seconds and then it pops up again. So I'm going to put that back down to like 0.2 seconds. It's all about the illusion of things happening in games. The other thing I'm going to have it do is while it's waiting and it's hidden, I'm going to have it move somewhere. So right now it's just 10 and 10. So it's just moving a little bit. But that needs to be random. So that's when I go to sensing, I think. Sorry, operators. And it's going to be pick random. Yes. So you can actually instead of it just picking a number, you can have it pick a random number. And I'm just going to look at the XY coordinates down on the bottom. So I'm going to say it goes anywhere from 220x to negative 220. So negative 220 up to 220. And for y, I'm going to do 160 and negative 160. That's basically the whole screen. So now, when Yoda gets the cupcake, it's just going to random spots on the screen. Sometimes the random spot is like right where Yoda is. But it is random. Seems to like that bottom half of the screen right now. Okay, let's look at our list of things to do here. So he's collecting the cupcakes. Okay, once you have the cupcake and you have Yoda, the next step is going to be making the cupcake disappear so it looks like Yoda ate it. So that's all we mean is like this. Let me slow this down for you. So it'll be like 2 seconds. Yoda will just get the cupcake, it'll disappear, and then it will show again. So hide, wait 2 seconds, show, if touching Yoda. And then what we want to do is, while it's hiding, we want to set the y and x to a random number. So one thing you can do with these is set to, if you go to operators, you can pick a random number. And then what I do is I drag the cupcake around to just look at how far x I want to go. So I want to go to about 220x positive, and then about negative 220x, so that it's within the playing screen. And with y, the screen's a little bit shorter than it is wide, so I'll go to about negative 160 to up to 160. So we'll just do negative 160, double click that, and type it in. So now when Yoda collects the cupcake, it'll disappear for 2 seconds and appear randomly on the screen somewhere. But 2 seconds is kind of a long time, so I'm going to do like 0.5 seconds. Let's see how that looks. That feels video gamey to me. Remember, all of this, all these scripts really are applied to the cupcake. So the next thing we do is make a sound of eating when Yoda is on the rampage here. So on the cupcake, I can go to sound, and I can play a sound when Yoda touches. So right now it's a pop. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. There we go. And then you can record a sound. So you just grab the microphone thing here and hit record. Allow microphone. And I'm going to try that again because I was talking. Nom 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 nom. So now I can make that the script down there. So instead of that, I can do recording 1. And nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. There we go. So the last step is making it so that when he eats 3 cupcakes, we go up a level and the background turns red. So we already made our backdrop red. And we just have to listen for how many cupcakes Yoda eats. So we need to create a variable. That's again all in the cupcake sprite. So let's see. Data, make a variable, cupcake. And we can do it for all sprites in this case. So when it's clicked, let's set cupcake to 0. And when the cupcake touches Yoda, or Yoda touches the cupcake, we just change cupcake by 1. So every time we restart the game, it'll always go down to 0. And every time Yoda hits the cupcake, it's going to go up by 1. So let's test it out. And I'm going to keep saving. I highly suggest you save your work on Scratch because it's really frustrating when you make progress that works and it's not saved. So, just gonna turn it down. So it sees 5 now, and then 6. And then finally we just had to have the stage change when we reach 6. So we've got, I think, give me a second. So when I receive, it's a couple things. We have to set it up so that when Cupcake reaches 3, there's something broadcast. And that would be a message saying, we've reached 3, move to the next level. So I got to do control, let me think. When I receive message, okay. If hold on, thinking. Anyone remember how to do this? This one's the hard one, but I know I can figure it out. Okay. So if the cupcake is 3. Operators, equal signs. Booyah. If statement. Where's the if statement? Here it is. If cupcake equals 3, broadcast a message. When I receive the message, switch backdrop to backdrop 2. But this should probably be in a forever loop. Well, let me test it how it is. So I'll hit this, that resets this to 0. I also, when the green arrow flag is clicked, I have to reset everything. So reset the cupcake score to 0, but then also set the backdrop to backdrop 1. So it goes back to the black backdrop. Okay. So I think it will work. 2, 3. Believe it or not, that's it. That's the Yoda challenge. Thank you for watching. I hope you use this video to learn a lot about Scratch, and I'll see you sometime in the future. Goodbye.